So victory comes not from fighting the battle alone, but by handing the reins of our life over to the divine charioteer, the Krishna. So our identity, our body changes, but soul remains the eternal. So karma, it is not a punishment, but it is a mechanism for learning. You have to be in a witness mode. Then only you will come out of the karmic cycle. Hello friends, this is Krishna Pal from Pune. And today I am going to take you through the journey of Bhagavad Gita, Path to God, Living the Bhagavad Gita by Ram Das. So why I choose this book? Because definitely Gita is a holy book, sacred book, originated from India, and a lot of Indian authors have described Gita in their own interpretation, in their way of describing about Gita, how practically it can be implemented. But surely I wanted to understand like how the Western world, how the authors on the Western side, what they think about Gita, how they are explaining this Gita to their Western seekers. So that's why I choose this book as my Swadhyaya session. About the author, Ramdas, his real name was Richard Alpert. He had served on the faculty at Stanford and Harvard universities. In the 1960s, he traveled to India where he met his guru Neem Karoli Baba. Since then, he has pursued a variety of spiritual practices, including Guru Kripa, devotional yoga, karma yoga, many forms of meditation, Sufi, and Jewish studies. So, in his book, he mentioned like he went through a different version of Gita through different authors and he read twice, thrice. He told like every time he goes through the Gita, he used to get a different perspective of life. So he spent good amount of time in understanding the Gita and he described this across these 10 chapters that you can see on the left hand side, where he mentioned about karma, reincarnation, karma yoga, gyan yoga, brahm, sacrifice, renunciation, sadhana, dying. So it's really good to see like somebody from the Western culture, they showed their interest and then they explained this Gita in a very, very practical way. And the story behind this is something like that. He took some lectures in 1974. It's more like a workshop. He conducted a workshop in Naropa University where he actually wanted to really make them aware like what are the key teachings of Gita and how practically they can implement. Because Western people they are more they are logical people or they don't generally believe on the things without experimenting. So that's where it's really a very good workshop that he conducted, and there he explained all the perspective of Gita and the approach that he doesn't just translate the text, he transmits the bhav. He views the Gita not as a dusty scripture, something, but as an instruction manual for your own consciousness. So this is the context, and now we'll go chapter by chapter. And I am just putting up some practical examples so that we can correlate like how these chapters are associated with our day-to-day life or challenges that we are facing. So first chapter is on the context and the conflict. Yeah, those who are aware about Mahabharata and the origin of Gita, they know like this book opens on the battlefield where Arjuna, the warrior, collapses in despair. He doesn't want to fight his cousins, his relatives. This represents the dark night of the soul. It is that moment when your egos usually tricks, fighting, running, manipulating. That's what we have the challenges in our life. And we stop working. We are in a fear, right? And we feel stuck. So here Ramdas, the author, teaches that this despair is actually a gift. It is the moment you become open to your higher wisdom. Because now when you are totally in a kind of stressful situation and you are not seeing any path, at that time you try to understand and you try to see a path. Okay, how I should come out from these challenges, these problems. That's where he said that this is something a kind of a start of your spiritual journey. So we stand daily on this field, torn between the forces of our higher nature, which are Pandavas, and our egoic desires, he said the Kauravas. So Krishna is the charioteer. So he says like we should have some kind of guidance, whether it is from the guru or from our higher sense. So somewhere we cannot alone fight in this battlefield. We definitely need someone like a Krishna charioteer. So here the Krishna represents the Atma, the divine wisdom within us. The horses, which are the senses, our senses, which are dragging us, they drag us widely. If they are unchecked, we don't have a control. So victory comes not from fighting the battle alone, but by handing the reins of our life over to the divine charioteer, the Krishna. So here I'm taking just a simple example, like imagine you are in a toxic job and every Sunday night, because you have to Monday morning you have to go. So you feel a knot in your stomach, despair, your ego says just quit and run away, right? It's very frequent. Now the work culture lies that you are going through in some time in past also going through such kind of situation where your ego comes in picture and then it says okay, so just like Arjuna was quitting and running away, so we are also in the same situation. Okay, or stay and fight with the boss, right? So we are paralyzed. Instead of numbing this feeling with some kind of, so we try to find out some ways, okay, how we just get entertained or just get away, right? But when you sit with discomfort, you admit. When you admit, okay, I don't know what to do. So that admission is the beginning of the spiritual path. So you are now listening for a deeper guidance. This is the battlefield, and this is how we all are in the situation the Arjuna was. So next chapter talks about the karma and reincarnation. I know about karma. We Pradeep sir has told a lot of things about karmas. Yes, of course, Gita also talks about, and we need to be very much watchful when we are really doing the karma or our duty. So here in this chapter, author as a person puts on a new, just like we put on new garments and giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies. So here it is saying like we are the eternal passenger. We are going through different lifetimes with different identities. So our identity, our body changes, but soul remains the eternal. We are not the costume we wear. We are the eternal actor behind the mask. So we play our role, and we play our role based on the identity, based on our karmic debt. And after playing that role, we leave the body and then move to the next journey. So that's what the here author has talked about. And it's good like somebody from the Western side, they have understood and they are explaining beautifully these concepts. And the law of karma, yes, all the fellow seekers who are part of this group, they know the law of karma. It is cause and effect. So karma, it is a physics of consciousness. Every action, your thought or words, they plants a seed that must eventually ripen. So karma, it is not a punishment, but it is a mechanism for learning. It is very much useful for your spiritual evolution in your spiritual journey. So our present is the fruit of our past, and our future is the result of our present. So we have to be in a present moment and do our karma. So how we can break the karmic cycle as a witness? So to escape the wheel of karma, we must shift from being the actor to the witness. So we are doing so many roles with so many identities we have in previous lifetimes, in current life. So here the author is saying, or even in the Gita, it is mentioned like, of course, you play the role of actor, but don't get attached to that kind of role. You be in a witness mode. And where the Krishna has also told Arjuna, be yogi bhava, be in witness mode. By observing the drama of our life without getting lost in the role, we actually stop creating new binding karma. But if we attach to that role and we think, okay, you are that person, then you are in that karmic cycle. So that is where in Gita or the author says that you have to be in a witness mode. Then only you will come out of the karmic cycle. Otherwise, you will get wrapped up with those karmic debt and karmic cycle. So just coming on to the practical example, It's very often happens like you are driving and somebody doing a rash drive and just cuts off aggressively, right? Or maybe you are driving or some kind of brush happens. So when you are as an actor or whatever identity you have, so you screams, you honks, you ruins the next star string in anger because this is something you have a ego, right? Some identity you have. So this plants are new seeds of anger, karma that will bounce back to you later. And there are different instances happen where we are in the trap of our identity, in the trap of ego, and we react. We don't respond, and that is actually kind of bringing us into the karmic cycle. But when we are in a witness mode, then we notices, okay, anger is arising. Okay, so you are in observation mode, you are witness mode. You see the other person not as an enemy, right, but as another soul, and that is acting out their own stress script. So just give them a benefit of a doubt. Okay, that person could be in some kind of frame of mind, and that is why he's driving, and these things happen, right? But uh, we as per based on our identity. Okay, I am driving like this. I am very much perfect. So other is not perfect. You are judging other person. And as Pradeep sir has said that everybody is perfect. If we are judging them, considering you as superior, other as inferior, so that means you are in a karmic cycle. So here it is saying like be in a witness mode. Whatever you are doing as a witness mode, just drop down your identity. Do your best, but do not fall in the trap of the karmic cycle. Okay, the third chapter talks about the karma yoga, the path of action. So karma yoga is finding God through our daily actions. It is the art of acting fully but without attachment to the outcome. We act because it is our dharma, not for the praise or gain it might bring. So it talks about the selfless service, the spiritual service, that you do your best but do not attach yourself with the fruit of outcome, or do whatever you are doing as per your knowledge or wisdom you have, and go ahead. Don't expect anything from your actions. Don't get into attachment. So work as worship, here it is talking about the sweeper, even sweeping a floor can be a high spiritual act if done with mindfulness and love. Cooking dinner becomes a ritual. Offering prasad when done with the intent to nourish God in others. And as a worker, your office is your temple. Your colleagues are aspects of the divine. So here it is saying that whatever work you are doing for yourself or others, just see a divinity in that work. Be mindful. And if you are mindful, if you are seeing oneness in all, so your work become a worship. Just a simple example, people will correlate like if you are cooking dinner for your family and if you are in a attached action mode, you cook hoping like they will say, okay, it is good food or something very great. But if no feedback is there, or if there is a silent or complaint, so we feel resentful and unappreciated, right? So that's the attachment. But the Gita says, the author says, okay, be na karma yoga or karma bhava. You cook with love, treat the preparation as a ritual to nourish the divine within them. Whether they praise it or hate it, your work is done. That is all. Your intention is good, you are preparing a good food to all, and you are nourishing them. You are peaceful because your validation didn't come from their reaction, but from the act of service. So when we are doing a service, so there is no anger, no ego. Just we are doing a service because God has chosen us to do that service. So that way we have to see. And we are serving others, we are serving God here. So this is a very famous shloka in Gita. I know many of you must have heard Karmanya Vadika Raste Ma Phaleshu Kadachan. So here it talks about that you have the right to work. Yes, you are on this planet. You can't get away from your duties. You can't run away. You have to definitely work, but for the work's sake only. You have no right to the fruits of the work. Like you are working, that is okay. Then forget. You do your best. But desire for the fruits of work must never be your motive in work. So this is how you can, this is called the Nishkam karma. So without any expectation, you are doing your karma, you are doing your service. That is why here you are on this earth planet. So fourth chapter talks about the Jnana Yoga, the path of wisdom. So Jnana Yoga uses the intellect to transcend the intellect. It is the path of discrimination, the Viveka. between the real and the unreal. So we should have a vivek, we should have a gyan where we can understand in this life what is truth, what is reality, and what is not a reality. So we should seek the truth, not we should not run behind the unreality or which is not the true part of this world. That is what the chapter is talking about. And the yogi uses the mind. He mentioned like they uses the mind like a sword to cut through the illusions of the ego. So ego is a very key factor in our life, and we are actually very deeply associated with our identities. So that is where Jnana Yoga help us to get away from these illusions of our yoga, and that is he talked about the Maya, the illusion. So it is a wheel, it is the cosmic illusion that makes the one appear as the many, because we have many personalities, we have identities. So it is the power that makes us believe we are separate individuals. So whenever we are feeling we are separate from others, we are superior from others, that means we are in an illusion. We are in a very deep illusion where we are considering ourselves different from others. And Jnana Yoga actually pierces this wheel, revealing that the separator and the separated, they are what? They are same. We are part of a God. We are also God. Other person, other soul is also part of God. So we all are kind of a part of God. So how come we are separate from each other? Everybody has their own qualities. They have own way of working. They are doing their karmas. We also should do our karma, but without getting attached to the ego or without getting into the karmic debt again or karmic cycle. And that is where the Maya comes into picture, and Jnana Yoga crosses or kills that illusion. So author has given some ways like how we can kind of disassociate ourselves from the ego. He talked about Ramana Maharishi, where he mentioned the neti neti, not this. When you are talking about your identity, you try to search yourself within your body, you see yourself. Okay, I am not the body, your hands, your thing. You are your ears, eyes, or whatever your body parts are there. So you are nothing, right? So that is what he's saying, like the neti neti. And second thing is the observer. Whatever I can see cannot be me because I am the one seeing it. So that is here it is dissolving your identity. Then Atma Vichara, constantly turning the mind back to its source. To whom does this thought arise? To me, who am I? So again, these are introspection ways where we are dissolving our identity and trying to understand who we actually are. Who am I? Very big question, and of course, the deep thought also. So just a practical example, it happens very often like you wake up feeling a heavy wave of anxiety about the future. Of course, a lot of thoughts goes in mind, and when you are fresh in the morning, you are getting up. So your negative thoughts come first rather than other thoughts. So it's a trap. You say, I am anxious, you are spiraling into solving the future problems. That is where the problem is that instead of in a present moment, we actually in a pendulum of past and future where we are trying to solve the problem without actually getting into the root cause. This is something he talked about the trap. But if you are in a karma yoga, you use your intellect to dissect it. You ask, who is anxious? You realize the anxiety is a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. You are the sky. You say, I am the awareness observing the anxiety. And when you consider disassociate those things from your identity, the anxiety loses its grip because you stopped identifying with it. So this is how you can definitely experiment in your life. Okay, fifth chapter is on the Brahm. Brahm is the ultimate reality, the formless, chainless substrate of the universe. It is Satchit Anand, existence, consciousness, and bliss. So the author talked about three gunas, and definitely they have their journey across these gunas. We have been into tamas, darkness, inertia, laziness, and then rajas, which is more on passion, your attachment to action, desire, and then the sattva, which is talks about the purity, light, balance. Even this binds us through attachment to happiness. So both rajas is more like your attachment to desires, more desires on the materialistic side, but sattva is also our attachment to the happiness, which is a golden chain. So we have to come out from this and in a nirguna mode. So that is where it talks about the transcending nature beyond the gunas. The goal is to move from tamas to rajas, from rajas to sattva. So in our lifetimes, we have definitely gone through from tamas, then rajas, then sattva. Because without experiencing these gunas, we cannot really move to other gunas. So people are could be in different kind of gunas. So that is their journey, and everybody has to go to these journey. And after sattva, their final step is to the nirguna to Brahma. So the liberated soul observes the play of the gunas without being entangled by them. So that is how our karmic chakra or karmic cycle goes, where people might get trapped into tamas, rajas, or sattva, again sattva, rajas. But it's up to our liberation how we get enlightened ourselves and move beyond the sattva and then goes to the Brahma or Nirguna mode. So just an example here, like you have a difficult interaction with a rude person in your office or in public place. So this situation again comes. So as a separation, if you are seeing, then you see that person as a rude because here it is a separateness. You are considering, okay, you are so peaceful person, the other is rude, so you are judging them. But seeing as a soul, you pause and remind yourself, all souls, they are playing their roles, honestly. And you realize this person is just a form, the one has taken to test your patience. So these are the people around you, they are taking your test, they are taking your different kind of test so that help in your evolution. So we should be thankful. So you look them in the eye with compassion, acknowledging the shared life force behind the grumpy mask. Okay, next is the sacrifice, and he talked about here sacrifice, the inner fire in Gita. Sacrifice is the internal. It is not the sacrifice of some animals or some kind of rituals. He talks about here we offer our lower nature, our greed, anger, ego into the fire of consciousness. That's what he's talked about, the sacrifice of our ego. So every breath, every action becomes an offering to the divine because we are from the divine. So definitely what action we are doing, that is all going to the divine. So here he's saying that your anger, your ego, that also should get sacrificed. So that will ease your path towards your divine, towards your higher consciousness. So mantra yoga he mentioned, and in his workshop also he actually distributed these mantra mala, and he talked about the mantra. And in the book we also mentioned like mantra protects the mind from its own chaos. Yeah, this is one of the way. Of course, in our meditation technique, we just talk about just sitting silently and observing the breath. That is something called of anapanasati. But here he just talked about the mantra part, and of course, this is one of the technique where you control your mind. And he mentioned like by repeating a sacred name like Om Ram, we give the monkey mind a pole to climb, replacing random thoughts with a divine vibration. But here, brain definitely get engaged, but all those thoughts actually get away, and you are only just focusing on one part, which is on your mantra. So at least one step towards your peace of mind. So focus, he mentioned like one pointedness through practice, the scattered ray of minds, they are brought to a single point. And when the mind flows continuously towards one object like oil pouring from a jar, we reach a state of absorption, samadhi. So one of the way of focusing your mind. One example of sacrifice and mantra like, for example, you are in a heated argument with your partner, and there is definitely difference of opinion is happens between two person. So you know you could win with a sharp comeback. You think like you are more logical or you have a better point. But instead, rather than continuously fighting for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, right? You think in a way, okay, now if you sacrifice your ego, your need to win for the sake of peace and connection, you burn your ego in the fire of love. So you will see that your arguments and your relationship with your partner, they will improve. So because it's a kind of making your relationship, your understanding better. So your sacrifice is a key point, that it is not like sacrificing something a better point, but it is more like you are making your relationship more harmonious. So that's where you are playing a role of a person where you have a higher awareness. So that way you should control your emotions, your relationship, and other aspects of life. Mantra is he talked about like if you are some worriness is going on, or for example, you are waiting for some of your medical test, of course, different thoughts comes in your mind. Mind is spinning. You start repeating Om or some kind of chanting is there. Use that sound to anchor your mind, stopping the monkey mind from jumping to the catastrophic conclusions or the negative thoughts. So generally people use this practice to how to get away from the negative thoughts. Maybe I can just take a little bit pause if you have any question rather than I just keep moving away. Maybe if you have any question in between, yeah, I would be happy to take up that question.
Good evening, Krishna Pal ji. Very beautiful
Yes.
presentation. The presentation was very neat and clear. The only thing I wanted to know is the practical examples that you have put in. Are they a part of the book? Are they your representations of the author's words?
Yeah, very good question. So, yes, author gave some example, but I put up my story here and my understanding so that I can correlate with our practical because he wrote this book quite back in 2004 somewhere. So he cannot definitely give the current lifestyle example. So that's
Hmm.
fair. Because I got impressed the way he explained his own practical journey, right? But then I started correlated, and I thought, why not to put with the current lifestyle, current structure? Maybe after 10 years, 20 years, the situation would be different. People would be presenting in a different way. So yes, to answer your question, I took the current lifestyle examples, and the author took at that time the whatever he found the best at that time. And I recommend like people should definitely use the current live example so that they can correlate and they can implement. Otherwise, everybody knows the Gita, but they don't know how to really implement this in their practical life, how they can improve their journey.
Correct. Beautiful examples, sir. I absolutely love the examples that you gave.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I guess we can move ahead if no more questions. Yeah, so seventh chapter is on the renunciation and it is inner versus outer. So renunciation is not about running or escaping to a cave or owning nothing. It is about the internal state of non-attachment. So if you run away from the materialistic world, so that is not the renunciation he mentioned. It is the internal state of non-attachment and possess nothing but use everything. If you enjoy your life, you just see you get the feeling of whatever is in your life, right? But of course, in a detachment mode. So we live in the world without being of it. So your possessiveness should not be like, okay, this is mine or this is something I have owned. So that kind of attachment, he said, it should not be there in your life. And he talked about the chitta shuddhi, cleaning the mirror. The heart is like a mirror covered in the dust of desires and fears. So definitely very common aspect is there. We have desires, we have fears. So he said like this spiritual practice or service we are doing, it wipes this dust away, allowing the mirror to reflect the clear light of the soul. Your inner soul or your inner personality will only come out when you will remove this dust of desire and fears. And this is one example I take like so we buy, and I know like iPhone is quite famous and it's a status symbol, I would say, or where people generally feel like they have iPhones or something. They have different kind of personality. So this is again attachment where you are obsessed with it, or maybe a car or maybe a dress you buy, right? So if it get something damaged or some scratches there, so you feel so in a devastation or painful, right? Or maybe you are judging the people with their dresses or with their lifestyle. That is all example of attachment because we are then in a separateness because our identity, our ego is coming up where we are saying, okay, he is superior, I am inferior, or a vice versa. But when you are in a detachment, then you enjoy these luxury. Your phone means it is. He's not saying that you should not buy cars or expensive phones. You definitely use it, right? This is nothing wrong in that. You use them, but if you lose them or somewhere uh, you are not able to get those things, so your happiness is not should not be tied to these objects. You possess it, but it doesn't possess you. So that's where we have to be very much kind of mindful whenever we are into this materialistic world, where he says you enjoy, but with a full detachment. That okay, tomorrow that thing is not there, that's okay, not there. Go ahead and enjoy your life. So chapter 8 is on Bhakti Yoga, and I said like he was a devotee and of Deep Karoli Baba, and I'm not sure those who are probably those who have gone to Mahavatar Baba Cape Ji, they would have gone through the path of Kechi Dham. So that is a main place of Neem Karoli Baba, and this person Ramdas, actually he used to visit his guru very frequently. And in some of his books, he has mentioned a lot of stories, his meetings with Neem Karoli Baba. So he was kind of a hard follower, deeply devoted to his guru, Neem Karoli Baba. So he mentioned about the Bhakti Yoga, and in this chapter, he mentioned some of his meetings with his guru, Neem Karoli. And yes, in Gita also, it is mentioned about the Bhakti Yoga. So it is a path of heart. When we say Bhakti, that means that Bhakti comes not from the mind or from the stomach, it comes from your heart. It bypasses the dry intellect and uses your natural emotions to reach God. Through love for the divine form like Hanuman, Rama, or Krishna, the devotee merges with the beloved. It is the easiest path for this age, Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, generally it is saying that, okay, if you don't know anything, but you just surrender, you devote yourself to your higher self, so then you are true. Then nobody is going to stop your spiritual journey. So that is called as a easiest path or shortcut. I would not say shortcut. It is something easiest path and a kind of enjoyable path. So for whosoever who wanted to have a spiritual journey and who likes to be in Bhakti Yoga. So this is the photo I kept intentionally of Neep Karoli Baba Maharaj. He used to call him Maharaji. And The Miracle of Love is a very good book. He has talked about his guru and different kind of wisdom experience he had with his guru. So he mentioned like guru is not a person, he's a principle. The outer guru is a mirror reflecting your own inner self. God, guru, and self, they are one. They are the grace that guides us home. So love for all, and that's what his guru Neem Karoli Baba used to say. That even all the gurus they have this that look oneness and love for all. Practical example just I have given, like you feel overwhelming love for your child or your family member or your pet. So when you are in Bhakti Yoga, yes, there is no harm in loving child or pet, but instead of limiting that love to just that one being, you use it as a trigger. You say, "This love I feel for my pet or child is taste of God's love." You let that feeling expand until you feel love for the trees, the sky, and even yourself. You transmute human emotion into divine devotion. That's what he's saying, that your love should get spread to all, not limiting to one. Because when you say oneness, so oneness that means loving to all, loving to yourself, and loving to all humanity, all creatures. Satsang, the company of truth. Yes, Pradeep sir also talks about Sajjana Sangatya. He also mentioned about community of truth, satsang, which provide the support needed to stay on the path. Every relationship, it is a teaching. Even difficult people, they are sandpapers and to smooth our rough edges and purify our hearts. So in our life, definitely we complain about the people, but they are actually a part of our journey, making our spiritual journey better. Otherwise, we'll not learn our lessons. So that is where we should be thankful to those people. And he mentioned the satsang is more like living in a community and learning from each other. Serving Narayan, serving God in form, he emphasizes seeing God in everyone, especially the suffering. We not help them, we serve the God in them. So generally we have a kind of ego says, okay, I am helping orphan or old age people. We are not helping. We are actually serving the God in them. God is giving us opportunity, giving that kind of wisdom where we are serving with complete devotion. So service is not just good ethics, it is a spiritual practice of acknowledging our shared divinity. So like you have a friend who loves to gossip and complain, after seeing them you feel drained and negative. So good practice is you realize this as a bad satsang. You don't have to judge them, but you might get boundaries. Alternatively, when you are with them, you refuse to join the gossip. You try to steer the conversation to something real you use. You use the social interaction to lift the vibration rather than lower yours. So final chapter is dying. And I know he said like die before you die. This means letting go of your identity with your roles, your mother, CEO, whatever role you have. So while you are still alive, you practice letting go of your little that now the big death becomes a liberation, not a terror. Yeah, I think that's all from my side. So you're living the dharma, you do the swadhyaya study, you serve humanity, and you love all. That's what he has mentioned. That is all. Thanks all. Thanks for your time.